So I went viral in the last 7 days since we recorded this podcast.
Viral. Oh my goodness. Are you okay? Do
Yeah,
you
I'm
need to,
fine.
is there, is, are you on a prescription or,
No, I'm fine, but I went viral on Instagram.
oh, on Instagram, on the
Hmm.
internet? You're a
Yeah, on the
viral
internet.
sensation. Okay. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
weird couple of years, Alanna Banks, these different meanings now.
Right. I forgot. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah. Congratulations. Jokes
Yeah.
aside, let's look at the numbers as we're recording because they're quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
Let's
And
see.
moving pretty quick too.
Yeah. Presently, you're at 14,500 followers, up from where were you a week ago?
4,044.
Yeah. So you've tripled in followers, gaining 10,000 followers in a week, 100% organically,
Yeah.
because you created this lovely reel titled Release Frustration in 60 Seconds. And wow, is it getting a lot of views quickly. So, like, I checked the view count a couple of minutes ago and it was 555,000 views. Remember? Because
Right. Yeah.
I said it to you and it's like, oh, 555K, right? It's
Yeah.
already 559K, meaning
Yeah.
4,000 more views in the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, so it seems like, and you were saying this to me before we even hit record, it seems like not only has it gone viral, but the momentum is still building.
It's building. Yeah. So I think I hit 10K followers on Monday. And at that point, I was trending 70 followers per hour, gaining 70 followers per hour. And since I've hit 10K, it's gone up to, I think Tuesday, I was trending 80 followers per hour. And then by the end of the day, yesterday, I was trending 100 new followers an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really good.
So it's just
Really.
compounding, right? It's,
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it to just peter out and stop.
Hasn't
Um,
it? Yeah.
Not
It
yet.
might. Cross our fingers, million views, maybe.
That could be cool. Could
That
be
would be
cool.
cool. Okay, so that's what this episode's about, everybody. Alanna Banks has gone viral in the best internet growth way possible.
Yeah.
She made a piece of organic content. It's exploded in popularity. It's getting her all kinds of positive attention and new followers. And it's just really cool to see, like, holy jumping. Think about it. Like, probably before this is all said and done, 1 million people will have seen your 90-second video, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. Which is I'm still in complete shock.
Yeah.
Um, because, I wasn't expecting this. I've been posting content for 10 years from like a business perspective, right? Like I think I've been on Instagram since 2007, but 10 years ago, I started posting like strictly for business. And so on last Tuesday, I posted that reel like I would post any reel on any day of the week, not expecting much, right? I just was expecting that I would post it and get my regular views, and then it just went crazy. So I guess, what we're going to talk about. I don't know where I was going with that. I had
So
like a
today,
I
so
had a
today
train
we're
of
going to talk
thought.
about all
Right.
that said. Today we'll talk about why we think this piece of content went viral,
Yeah,
um, so that maybe our audience can do the same thing.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think that there's a blueprint is what I want to say. I don't think there's a blueprint for going viral. And that's what we're going to talk about too. It's like there was a lot of things working in my favor. And then it was like a perfect storm of a bunch of things, I think, that took it to the next level potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, by the way, for those of you that want to check out Alanna Banks on Instagram. Alanna Banks Coaching is her
Yeah.
username. If you go to her reels there, you'll see that one of them
It's
has,
pinned. It's the first pinned.
yeah, it's the first pinned reel. If you're looking at it on your phone in the app, it'll be the first pinned reel. If you're looking at it on the website, it'll be the seventh or eighth or ninth or later reel, depending on when you watch this.
Oh,
Because
right.
when you pin it, Alanna, it only pins it in the app. Doesn't pin it on the
Oh,
if they look
good.
at it on the website.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah. So, anyways, but just look for the one that has a really high number of views. That's the
You'll
one.
notice it. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think it was about this piece of content that made it so popular? And why don't you describe the content? Like, what is it? It's a reel, it's 90 seconds, but what do you do in this?
Yeah. It's a 90-second reel where I teach an NLP technique. And basically, what it is how to release frustration in less than 60 seconds. That's what I teach in it. It's me speaking to the camera, me speaking to the audience one on one, and I'm basically guiding them through a technique to release frustration. So, one of the reasons why I think it got a quick uptick is I told them what was going to happen in like the first 3 seconds of the video. And I
Mm,
told them that it was going to happen in less than 60 seconds. So it
mm,
kind of like set up this expectation that, like, here's what I'm going to teach you. It's something tangible that you're going to be able to walk away with. And I'm going to do it in less than 60 seconds. So I think that was like a good hook. And another thing that I've learned recently is that if your title matches what you say in your video within the first like few seconds, Instagram really likes that. So, like the title slide basically that I had as like my cover matched exactly what I said in the first 3 seconds of that video.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So, to boil that down a little bit, she had a good hook, everybody. There's a
Yeah.
good hook in her video, and then she fulfills the promise that the hook makes. To describe this in a slightly more technical terms, the both the title and the hook of her video are release frustration in 60 seconds. That's the hook. So anybody who wants to learn how to release frustration in 60 seconds, which apparently is a lot of
Big,
people,
big thing. Yeah.
um, will continue to watch after they hear that hook. And here's the important thing, and Alanna said it as well. She gives the hook, she says it out loud. I'm going to show you how, or tell you or whatever, how to release frustration in 60 seconds. And then she immediately goes into explaining how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So think about what's happening in the audience's mind. They hear this hook. Oh, that is something that I want. She starts talking, and unlike most people on the internet, she's actually talking about the thing she promised to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Think about the times when like you've started watching a piece of content because it was like, here's how to make $1 million in one day. And then like you start watching the video and the person's like, okay, I'm going to tell you how to make $1 million in one day. But just so you know, here's a whole bunch of reasons why you can't do this. Okay, now let's talk about why I made $1 million. Like, have you ever seen one of those videos,
Yeah. They're
Alanna,
so
where it's like,
annoying.
this is
Or it's,
there's this
yeah.
big promise, and then it's like you start watching and it's like, okay, clearly this is not something I'm going to be able to apply myself,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
yours is not that. Yours is the opposite. It's like big promise, and then it's like, hold on, this lady's saying something that I think I can probably apply myself, right?
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to keep watching, right?
Yeah. And then that leads into the next point, which is they got an immediate result. So, I lead them through this process where I'm like, close your eyes, think about think about where the frustration is, think about a shape and spin it and blah, 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 do all this stuff. So if they followed along, they achieved the result that I promised too. So it's like I not only am promising something and then following through with it, but if they follow the instructions, they are rewarded
Yeah,
with
that's that's really
feeling
important.
it, like having a visceral reaction, and achieving the result that I promised. So it immediately gave me authority and credibility.
Yeah. And likewise, here's another kind of rule of content. If you have a piece of short content that helps people get a result, it should help them get the result in a short amount of time, right? If you teach somebody how to do something, and after you teaching it, they're going to go have to spend days or weeks to get the result, they're not going to get the result, and they're not going to attach value to your little video. So
Yeah.
another thing that worked in Alanna's favor, in my opinion and in my experience, is that she had that hook where she promised a really good, juicy result. She delivered on exactly how to achieve that result. And it was something that the person could literally start doing during the video. And if not, within a few seconds after the video was done, they could be like, okay, and put their phone down and try it and experience what Alanna had just described for this immediate payoff, which makes them want to do what, ladies and gentlemen, in the invisible audience that doesn't exist? Share the content,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And then immediately after that, I said, if you want to learn more techniques like this, follow me for more. And so
Mm,
immediately they then did the call to action, which was follow me, because they were all in like shock, like, oh wow, this really worked. I want to
yeah,
learn more. What else is she going to teach me? Right. So then they follow me for more.
yeah,
Um, and then another thing, and then in the caption, like where you write, you know, in the caption, all I wrote was save this for later. And as a result, it's been saved 20,321 times.
wow,
Yeah.
really cool,
So they
really,
followed my both call to actions, like follow me for more if you wanted to learn more and save this for later.
yeah,
And then the other thing that, was really cool too, which I didn't do a call to action, but a lot of people commented just being like, wow, it actually worked. Like that's pretty much like 95% of the comments is like, wow, this worked for me. Um, this is so cool. I was really skeptical, but it actually worked. So it's just like I kind of like converted people into believing something that they otherwise may not have believed.
yeah, yeah,
And I've only
uh,
had maybe like 5 people send me a mean comment too,
yeah.
which I think is kind of nice
That's pretty good. Yeah,
because I was
somebody,
kind of expecting some people to be like, oh, it didn't work. Like some people obviously have commented like, this doesn't work. This is dumb. Um,
yeah,
whatever. And I don't engage with them. I just like them. But yeah, I think that really worked. All of that is partly why, I also used a trending audio. Now I always use trending audios in my reels. And they never bring me this type of attention, but it could have been part of why it took off as well. And then like from an aesthetics level, I used your model, which is sort of like close up, good lighting,
yeah,
captions. There was really nothing in my background to distract people either. It was really just me. And it kind of felt like it was this experience where it was like me and the audience
yeah,
too.
yeah,
So, those things were also working in my favor, that it was like aesthetically pleasing, set up well, good lighting,
yeah. Cool.
um, good sound.
Good smell. Smells good.
Yeah, it smells
Uh,
good.
yeah, tasted great. Great taste. Okay. So we kind of broke down some of the things that it, really had going for it. Also good thumbnail, just there's all these like elements of the piece of content itself that are, technically well done. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Like
I
check the
don't mean,
boxes, right?
I mean technically well done in the most literal meaning of the word technically. I mean,
Yeah,
from a
totally.
technical standpoint, all of these things that needed to be in place were in place, and that's great, right? Now, from a contextual standpoint, and I mentioned this on one of our group calls recently, and there's actually been, a few people who are applying this similar style of reel that, I didn't invent it, but I teach it to my students because it's a really good way to balance what I call wide appeal content and deep appeal content. But we don't need to get into that right now. But there's been a few people from my little corner of the internet who've been following this style of content creation have gone viral recently. Yourself, you're the most viral, but also there was Maria
Yeah.
H, who I think reached over 100,000 views when she only had 2,000 followers on Instagram at the time. And then there was Lore, who I can't remember how many views, but she had like similar results, like big time views on one of her reels. And in all three of you, the context I think really played into the ability for the individual piece of content to go viral.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, in other words, is if you're not taking care of your account and behaving in a certain way leading up to when you make this really good juicy piece of content, the platform may not give it the attention that it could otherwise get. So Alanna
Yeah.
and I kind of brainstormed before we hit record here. Mainly she brainstormed, but we kind of brainstormed the 5 things that I think helped to create the context where when you insert a piece of good quality content, it's much more likely to go viral. Does that lead in make sense to you, Alanna Banks, the way I said that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
cool.
it's sort of like you need to have a bit of a foundation to your profile to help you launch into that viral territory.
Or yeah, or in other words, I mean, like the greatest piece of content, you have one individual great piece of content in the world, might go viral when posted on one account and may get 0 views when posted on a different account, the exact same piece of content,
Yeah.
all being
Yeah.
equal.
Actually, that came up recently because yesterday I had my Ascension Circle call, and Maria is actually in the Ascension Circle. And so we were
Yeah.
talking about this, and we were talking about when she went viral. And she's like, it's so funny because she posted a similar video to this one, and it didn't really take off. And so she was just like, it's so interesting that like I posted a very similar video to this and it didn't take off. And then you posted and then you go, crazy with 450 or whatever, yesterday it was 450,000 views, but
Yeah, because there's also the question of, and she's got an account that we know can go viral because she
yes.
has.
Yeah.
But, here's the thing, with every piece of content we post, we're teaching the algorithm who needs to see our content, right? So what went viral for you may not go viral for her. And I'm sure if you looked at her most viral reel that got 100,000 views or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and replicated it word for word and posted it on your account for your audience, I bet it would not go viral
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's not what your audience is appreciating right now, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into this list. We got 5 things that Alanna and Maria and this other person I mentioned, Laura, and all the other people who I've observed have content really explode. These 5 things are kind of common denominators that these folks are doing in the months or years leading up to, having a big explosion in popularity on social media.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Number one.
Yes. So number one, so I've been grinding out content, posting content every day for 10 years. Now, for 5 of those years, I had a fabric store. So I was putting out content that was related to something very different than what I'm posting about now, right? Like it was about fabric and quilting and being a mom and all of that kind of stuff. For the last 5 years, I've been posting content consistently about hypnosis and coaching and NLP and, the mind and all of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
really, for the last 10 years, I've just been consistently putting out content
Yeah.
every day related to my niche at the time. And even over the last 5 years, I've gone through a lot of different niches within the hypnosis, NLP, coaching, mindfulness niche.
Yeah.
But actually, what just came in for me right now is like, I really, and this takes us into point number 2, and we can maybe do point 1 and 2 together, but like I've been really doubling down on reels since September 2022, which is like me on video talking to the camera, being visible, right? So I think part of it, and I was like, when I say double down, like I was like putting 3 pieces of content out a day for a while just to get my stuff out there. Because what happened was when I shifted from being a fabric store to being into coaching, the algorithm didn't know what the heck was going on, right?
Yeah.
Because I was all of a sudden talking about something completely different to a different audience. So it took a while for me to find my footing when I got into the coaching world too. But I
Yeah.
think what really helped amp up the machine was me being very consistent with the content, but also like doubling, tripling down on putting good content out there every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I don't want to scare people because you said you've been posting content for 5 or 10 years. By no means is
Yeah,
it a
no.
requirement for you to
No.
post content for 5 or 10 years before you have good success. The other people who I mentioned who've also gone viral have been posting for significantly less than 5 or 10 years. The point there is, Alanna has been consistent and
Yeah.
didn't give up and has enjoyed gradual growth punctuated by, phases of increased growth.
Yeah.
And right now she's in a phase of extreme growth with this viral content, right? I
Yeah.
want to share a quote from Alex Hormozy,
Mm.
the exceedingly polarizing Alex. I don't know how this guy became polarizing because he's so positive and his
Yeah.
advice is so good and so genuine. And he's like catching, I'm sure he doesn't care a lick, but, and a lot of it's people just trying to make themselves relevant. But some of
Totally.
the criticisms I've seen of Alex Hormozy, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe try his stuff before you say it's. Anyways,
Yeah.
here's a quote from him that reminds me of what you're talking about and reminds me of social media. The
Mm.
quote is about business in general. He says, there are two outcomes once you get into business. It eventually works, is number one, or number two is you give up before it works. He says
Mm.
that's it. And it's the same thing with social media growth. There are
Yeah.
two outcomes once you get serious about marketing yourself on social media. It eventually works, or you give up before it does.
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
And it's so funny you mentioned that because the day before, like on the Monday of last week, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to start a whole new Instagram account because I I was like,
Oh man, what a mistake that would have been.
right? But I was thinking, because my growth has been okay, but my growth really came from my fabric store days. And then when I shut down like when I sold my fabric store and transferred everything to coaching, I lost about 2,000 followers.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to recoup those followers over the last 5 years. And so, of course, then you start blaming the algorithm and you start blaming, the fact that like people aren't seeing my content. And, I was kind of in this spiral of just like, I'm just going to burn it all down and start from scratch, start like giving new stuff to the algorithm.
Yeah.
Um, and I've had those thoughts many times, right? Not just last Monday, but I don't know. The universe must have heard me loud and clear to be like, no, don't shut it down. We'll just make you go viral.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like it does get to the point where you're like, ugh, I just want to give up. Or like, why isn't this working? Or, and the other thing, and maybe this is like a topic for another episode, but just because I went viral doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden like this super successful coach making like way more money in the last 7 days either, right? It's just put me in front of more eyeballs, and it's going to give me more opportunity to continue to do what I've been doing, which is share my message and put myself out there and create things. So um, it's kind of like I went viral, but so what? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing changed other than like every time I open my phone, I have 100 new followers and hearts and comments and,
And people showering you with compliments. Yeah. But anyways, okay. What's next on the list?
the next one is
Creating the context where we can go viral.
well, I've been following your model that you teach in the Simple Social Sanctuary.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, you have. And the model that I teach in the Simple Social Sanctuary is, I try to think of the most core foundational principles of being successful on social media. And obviously consistency is one of them, but that's hyper vague, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
really is, every bit as important as consistency is efficiency. And I can tell looking at somebody's profile whether they're spending a ton of their time and energy to create content or whether they're creating good content, but it's being made efficiently. And if it's not being made efficiently, it's almost never sustainable. You'll almost never have the consistency to create the context that Alanna created where you can go viral. So I think one of the things you're really good at, Alanna Banks, is efficient use of social media.
Mm-hmm.
in parallel to consistent use, which is one of the things I really emphasize in the
Yeah.
simple social sanctuary.
Yeah. And that's super important too, because it's not sustainable when if you're spending like hours creating content, right? And um, I've always kind of held that belief too. Um, Maybe not so much with the video content, but definitely with my written content. Like I've always just, kind of slapped together something and thrown it up there, but definitely learning from you, kind of like your tips and tricks around creating video content efficiently has been really helpful. And so for this one, for example, right, like I recorded it down here in my, in my basement, like where I have my lights and everything set up. And I basically take one take, I film it in stories, download the stories, and then I upload it into the captions app that I use, and then I'm done. So it probably that reel probably took me maybe 20 minutes from start to finish. And
Yeah,
then I went and I think I had lunch. And then it was like after I had lunch, I opened my phone and I was like, oh my God, what happened? Because it took
amazing.
off like immediately.
Yeah, yeah, I love that, and it kind of proves the point that like you don't have to have spent hours creating one reel for it to be
No.
really effective, right?
Like what I did was because I just finished my master NLP training. So I just opened up my textbook and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a reel where I'm teaching this.
Yeah,
That could be fun. And so I
yeah,
just did that. Like I didn't even pre-plan it, think about it, write a script, do my hair, do my makeup, like nothing like that. I just kind of plopped down at my desk and recorded it.
yeah,
Um, so and the other thing that you teach too is also like having like a close-up video, making sure that you have captions, making sure that the lighting is good, right? Like that there's contrast.
yeah.
So
Simple
that was
stuff.
all there, but I like those are kind of things I just do on autopilot now. Like I don't set it up that way. It's just kind of like that's how I record my content. One thing that I did that was a little bit different though was I zoomed in more. So like when I recorded, I was a little bit more far away, but then when I uploaded it as a reel and edited it, I zoomed in closer than I normally would have.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was kind of a new little trick that I did.
New little thing. I mean, that's we want to avoid the term would be survivorship bias, where we assume that, that contributed to the
Yeah.
success of the reel. It may have, but it may actually be that the reel was successful despite being zoomed in a lot, right? We don't know for
No.
sure. I do think maybe it worked in your favor, but I would stop short of being everybody make reels, where
Yeah,
you're
where you're
hyper
like
zoomed in on your
extreme.
face, right? Because it also had the effect of slightly lowering the resolution of your reel when you did that, right? Again, it
Yeah,
wasn't a problem whatsoever in this case because obviously it's. But what I'm saying is, had you not done that, you'd be at 10 million views now, and
I know.
no, I'm just kidding. We have no idea. There's no way to
We
know.
have no idea.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I was saying before. It's like a perfect storm. Like there's no
yeah,
blueprint, really. It's just
yeah.
a
Like,
perfect storm of like checking all the technical boxes.
have you? I don't know if you've seen this or you're like. There's this trend where people will create a reel on Instagram and they'll be holding something as if it's a
Mm,
microphone. But if you
yeah,
look carefully, it's like the wrong end of a charging cable or it's a microphone that's not plugged into anything.
yeah.
And this trend started because like somebody did this. Somebody made a reel where they were doing this, pretending to hold a microphone, but it was an iPhone cable, and it was really successful. And then other people started doing it. And like, I mean, even now, we have no way of knowing if the reel was successful because the person was holding a wire and pretending it was a microphone,
Yeah.
or it was just successful despite the fact that they're doing something silly, you know? And I think there's a lot of that in social media where it's like
Yeah.
one or a few people do this thing and it happens to be in a popular piece of content and people go and assume, oh, well, then, you know, Having a chapstick tube glued to my forehead in my reel will, make it successful. So like I should do that too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well,
And
I
again,
think like
I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work. Maybe there is some scientific reason, you know? Uh,
totally. And it does work, but I think what I've been really picking up on a lot lately, and this has sort of always been my thing, and this actually brings us into point number 5. So we'll turn point 5 into point 4, but is maintaining an attitude of curiosity and experimentation. So don't necessarily like what I've been listening to a lot lately and what I've always believed is like don't copy other people, create your own stuff. Like be unique, like do what you want to do because that's going to work in your favor because it's going to be different. If you're just copying everyone and doing the trends and doing the dances, I mean, that trend is kind of over now, but do your content the way you want to do your content, but
yeah.
check some of those technical boxes, right? So, like I've been following Ryan's blueprint in terms of like how to create video content. And I think that it's really helpful and it looks good and it resonates, but then I'm still creating my own content within that box. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that that's really important is just to have curiosity, experiment. And I've always done this, like even back when I had my fabric store and when I transitioned from my fabric store to what I'm doing now, I've never been interested in copying what everybody else is doing. And that's going to work in your favor.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't say it any better than that. What number are we on the list?
That was 4. So now 5 is oh no, that was 3. That was point 3.
Cool.
The other one is be a good social media citizen. So point 4 is be a good social media citizen, which
Yeah.
really is, I've always adopted this where it's just like I comment on people's things, I like people's stuff, I am friendly when people comment on my stuff, I respond when people direct message me, I respond when people share my stuff, I thank them for doing that, like I'm just, I cruise around social media with an attitude of gratitude. Right.
Yeah.
And even as I was climbing in these numbers, like I was going on my stories being like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that all these people are following me. Like, send me a message if you're new and tell me where you're from. So that, also created opportunity for a lot of new people to message me. And like, then I found out there was people from all over the world, like India and Scotland and Germany and, the States, like everywhere. And it just creates conversation. So it's just like, and another thing that I made a point of too is I never leave a bad comment on anything. I never get in fights in the comment
Yeah.
section. I never make a mean comment on someone's post if I don't agree
Yeah.
with them or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I have a pretty squeaky clean persona
Yeah.
on the internet as well,
Yeah.
which I think helps. And even with the comments that were coming in from my reel, like 95% of them have been very positive, and I responded to every single one that's come in. And even the ones that were kind of mean, I didn't delete them. I just hearted them, and that was it. Like I was like, I'm not engaging with this person because like I don't really care to,
Yeah.
start a fight in my own comment section. So, and I don't let it get to me either because I really don't care. Um,
Yeah.
and then, well, then the last one is just having a positive attitude, which I think kind of goes in with good social media citizen.
Yeah.
So
Good.
that's it. That was the
Yeah.
foundation that I built it on.
Yeah.
And
And there you go.
and now I guess we just see what happens from here. I have no idea. Let me open up and see what's happened since we've been chatting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm at 14.6 thousand followers now.
Nice. So another 200 since we started talking.
And then I'm at 565,000 views.
Wow. So it's had 10,000 views since we started chatting.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And actually, the one I posted yesterday is doing very well. The how to
Yeah.
get rid of a headache in less than 2 minutes.
Ooh, I'm gonna
It's
go watch that.
it's performing very well. That has 11.5 thousand views, and I just posted it yesterday around this time.
Yeah. You know what's a fun byproduct of learning those hypnotic self techniques to get rid of headaches? After I learned that I could do that, and the one that like we focused on when I was going through and doing all my training and everything was the location isolation
Mhm.
technique to get rid of a headache. Once I learned how to do that, it was like my mind realized that, oh, well, if I create a headache, it's just going to be removed through this hypnotic technique. And so now I can't remember the last time I had a headache.
That's
Um,
cool.
or it's like my subconscious mind is going and just doing the technique in advance or something. But it's
Yeah.
like, I always use this expression, the more you do it, the less you need to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
it's like
it's
some of
true.
those techniques, you do them a few times, and then it's like, not only did it work that time, it like inoculates you against the thing moving forward.
Yeah.
So, in other words, go watch Alana's new reel,
Yeah,
everybody.
go watch it. A woman actually commented saying that she gets chronic headaches and she did the technique that I taught yesterday and she felt her headache melt away. And
Wow.
yeah, wanted to know if I had like more information to provide for her. So,
What
but
else
yeah,
do
it
you
does
want,
work.
Brett? The headache's gone, madam. What else do you
I know,
want?
but I guess she's worrying like, is it going to, what happens if it comes back? Well, just
Too
do the
good to be
technique over
true.
again.
Huh? Yeah. Cool. All right. So there we go. There's all our tips. Go out there, go viral, do stuff, have fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Alanna talked a lot about the Simple Social Sanctuary today. If you want to join, just go to ryanmontes.com. You'll see a button that says Simple Social Sanctuary. You can learn all about it and sign up, or shoot me a message on Instagram at ryanmontesnlp. The world famous Alanna Banks, how can people get in touch with you, or what are you offering these days?
Well, just come over to my profile and follow me at Alanna Banks Coaching. Um, also follow the podcast Instagram, which is it's the No Excuses Coaching Pod. No, it's the No Excuses Podcast, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And then what am I offering? Well, what I'm offering right now are palm readings, which is also a really great gift for a friend or a family member for the holidays. I do all my palm readings virtually. So, I can do it from anywhere in the world. And you just send me photos of your hands. I give you instructions about how you can do that. And then I share my screen with you and walk you through your palms. So it's a great gift. It's $88 for a reading. And you can
Yeah.
find a link to that by going to my Instagram link tree. You'll see it.
Cool. There
Yeah,
we go.
that's it.
Done. Boom. All
All right.
right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.